Are obsessed with Child of Shivay, go check out Bookish Wine. They fell in love with the book just like we did and partnered with author JR Cathers to create something truly magical. Their December release features a special edition of Child of Shivay book and Shivaria Malbec, a wine with a collector's label inspired by the book. Bookish Wine is a quarterly subscription box carrying epic romantasy books with handcrafted wine for a truly immersive experience. Visit bookishwine.com to learn more and subscribe.
Happy Fantasy Friday. It's time for book club. We are Lindsay,
Kelly,
and Catherine, and this is the Banner and Bookmarks podcast. We are three book besties diving into romantasy with unhinged theories and a bit of spice.
This episode contains spoilers. This is a 6-episode series covering Child of Shivay. So if you do need a spoiler-free introduction or refresher to the characters and their world, go back and listen to episode 1.
But for now, pour yourself a drink, come escape reality with us, and let's talk about books.
Today, we are covering chapters 35 through 41, the final chapters of Child of Shivay.
Can't believe we're there.
I know! Catherine, why don't you get us started with the summaries?
In the morning, Shivaria is to train with Rhea during the day and have dinner with Xavier's friend and the others that evening. They take training slow at first, but then Torin steps into the ring, but he throws his knee into Shivaria's thigh, breaking her bone, but Rhea heals it. Xavier comes to take her to get ready for dinner, and on the way, Shivaria tells him that she would like to meet the king the next day at the mask. They go to dinner with Nurai, who inspects her thoroughly. Nurai tells Shivaria that she was born in Brax shortly before the Sundering and launches into her tale.
We are in Brax, 3 years after the Sundering. Nurai has just returned from a visit with the Latari king and talks to Muri, remember, one of the Vitruk. Nurai says that the next time she goes to see him, she may ask her brother to use his gift to persuade the humans of peace. They come across a sprite, and Nurai notes that Muri is the only Fane she has ever known to whom the sprites have taught their language. The sprite offers Nurai a bundle of herbs in request for a favor, and Nurai grants it, feeling the bargain etch itself onto her skin. The sprite tells her that she will seek her out when she is ready for her favor.
Back in present day, Nurai tells Shivaria that the sprite has never come to claim her price. Nurai tells Shivaria that Muri was killed during the First War, and that she came to her before the war and told her that the Fae were disappearing and that the land was dying. The sprite had come to ask for her help figuring out why. Nurai excuses herself from dinner. Xavier and Shivaria go back to their room for the evening, and selfishly, Shivaria does not want to talk. She wants to hold on to her secrets and enjoy him for just one more night. But that night, Shivaria is plunged into her nightmare, this time Xavier playing the part of one of her demons.
Shivaria wakes up gasping for air, but Xavier is not in their bed. She overhears yet another conversation, this time between Nurai, Xavier, Auri, and Rish, about taking Shivaria back to Latari to find someone to unbind her. Auri says that she will accompany them and glamour them, and they will leave the next morning. Xavier gifts Shivaria with a Fane stone ring, and then he leaves to fortify the grounds for the ball, and leaves Shivaria with Rhea for the rest of the day.
Shivaria's dress for the masquerade is delivered, along with a note from Xavier that he will meet her there. She puts on the stunning rendition of Bhagya, also adorning her hair with shadowbane flowers left by the sprites. Shivaria enters the ballroom, and she is completely lost in wonder of the beauty of what Auri has created. Shivaria sees Rhea speaking with Torin, and she gives him one of the flowers that she plucked from Vari's hair. Tauren offers Shivaria his arm, and they go to meet the king. He escorts her into a rather plain room full of plants, and before he leaves, he asks plainly if she is there to kill the king. She admits to everything, but before she can do anything, Voss enters the room. She is there to exact her revenge for Shivaria killing her mate. She slams a large stone into the side of Shivaria's head, knocking her out.
Shivaria wakes up on a ship with Voss, Nyx, and Arda standing over her, questioning whether or not she is the Valtura. Voss begins to torture her with a blade, telling Shivaria to reveal her true form. She leaves her to a healer, but Shivaria attacks her. Nyx comes into the room. He rips the necklace off that Xavian had given her and sinks his fangs into her throat. Voss stops him, and a surgeon heals Shivaria, only so that they continue to torture her without dying. 3 days of this pass, and Bhagya reveals herself to Vari and bargains the lie for her freedom. Shivaria's form changes, and her ears take on the uneven edges of the Vatruk. Voss and Nyx chase her, but Shivaria throws herself off the side of the ship and into the sea. Shivaria feels her demon and whispers her name, Shivay.
A man dives into the water and pulls Shivaria to the shores of Brax while she watches the warship burn in the distance, with lightning continuing to strike it in an uneven fashion. He rushes her toward an Acherai ship that made it to the shore so she can be healed. She wakes up and peers into a basin of water and sees her true form. A Fane, but with ears like the Vatruk or like the Fae. The man comes to her, and it is Vikesh. No longer a human with brown eyes, but a Fane with bright blue eyes and sharp ears. She sees Pelias and turns away from him, heading towards Brax. Tig appears by her side, and Shivaria says to her in Fae, "Come with me, friend, to where fate will find us." We have finally arrived. Can you guys believe how we have literally teased everyone throughout all of these deep dives? Oh, just wait until episode 6.
Here it
and
is.
We'll finally tell you our theory. And we have arrived. Because this episode's going to be theory.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam.
Buckle up, buttercups.
Epic.
So excited. Let's get into it. All right. This set of chapters starts with Shivaria waking up from their previous night together, with Xavian calling her Daira, which is what he says they call the one closest to their hearts. No mention of her demon or any dreams from the previous night, which is interesting, but we'll get there.
Sex will do that to you.
I would say, I'm assuming it's because of the giant orgasm she had the night before.
Giant, yes.
Orgasm.
Very big.
Plural.
Very, very big.
Plural.
Very, very important. Yes.
Good for you, Shivaria.
Get it, girl.
Well, Xavian's friend, Narai, is in town, and they're going to have dinner with her tonight. He's not acting himself here, right? Like you all picked up on the fact that he was anxious, nervous, just like not himself in this moment.
Yeah. Like weirdly so. Like, why?
Yeah, like he very much is looking for this friend's
Approval?
what's the right word? Yeah, like her approval.
Yes.
Exactly.
100%.
Like, welcome to the family type of
Yes.
thing, maybe?
Absolutely. Interesting.
Before dinner, Vari gets some sparring time. She's sparring with Rhea. Tauren is there. Tauren is absolutely starting to be sus of her and her skills. And he says, okay, I'm going to have a turn. And they have this whole, like, I find it kind of funny back and forth of, like, he took off his armor to be like, yeah, you're not a threat. And then she takes off even more armor. She's like, well, you're even less of a threat. And then she's like, oh, shit, maybe I shouldn't have done this. And so they spar. And he breaks her leg bone and then kind of freaks out because he sees Xavian walking towards them. And Rhea's like, oh, sorry about this. And she heals him. So kind of hides it from Xavian. Xavian comes to collect her and is like, all right, we're going to have dinner. Let's do this.
I love how Torin like looks at her and he's like, bet.
Right.
You didn't rat me out.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
props.
Exactly.
You took that leg breaking really well.
Mm-hmm.
Got a hand.
Thanks for not telling on me to the general /
Yeah, there's
the
like
king.
moments with Torin where obviously in this moment he's definitely starting to suspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that he really appreciates Shavaria. I think that he secretly really likes Shavaria, but also knows that she's a threat, right?
Yeah.
He's a little torn. Torin is torn.
Oh, look at that,
Comes
Torin.
to his feelings for Shavaria. Xavian comes to collect Shavaria for dinner, and she finally tells him, I would like to speak with your king. And he says, sure, why not tomorrow at the mask, right? Not right now, because we've got an important dinner to go to, but how about tomorrow? Which, at this point, if you assume, which we do, that Xavian does not know that she's the Valtura, he does not know that she is a Fadienne, a Drakai. It's kind of funny to me at this point that he has her wait one more night. Like, I think in his mind, it's not meant to be sneaky. It's meant to be like, oh, I'm going to surprise her that I'm the king.
Right.
Stay at the mask kind of
Yes.
thing. Like, I don't see it in this moment as him holding back for some reason. I think
agree.
him as being like playful.
Yeah, I think he was planning. I think he was planning a reveal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He also jokes
The
that-
reveal is you get tortured. Yay!
Well, he
He
didn't plan
know
that.
Come on. So he jokes and he's like, why have you decided to seduce him? Haha, because him is me. I am king.
Right.
He didn't say that, but that's Lindsay.
I'm pretty sure he'd like it.
In here, right? And she says, no, I want to ask him permission to stay here. So remember in their previous encounter, the previous night, he had said, will you stay here with me? And she says, I want to, because she really does want to. So she says in this moment, and I think in this moment, she really still wants to do that. She's made the decision that she doesn't want to kill him, that she's going to come clean. So I think when she says that here, I think that she really means it, right?
Yeah, she definitely means it. I didn't like his joking personally at this point because it's like this girl doesn't ask any questions. She makes zero demands of finding out any answers, and she's like, "I want to meet your king. I'm being serious," and he's like flippantly joking, and he is the king, and I'm like, dude.
Unless there is something holding him back. Again, I think we talked
Unless
a lot in
there's
the last
something like
episode,
that.
right? That it's not that he is.
Yes.
There
If
might
there's
be something that has to be broken. Yeah.
Yep. If there's something like that, I get it. If it's him saying, oh, you're not ready, she just gave you the opening proving she's ready to know this detail, the joke falls flat for me.
Yeah. It's
We will
also
wait to see.
I don't see it as a joke too. I think it's bad timing. I mean, they're literally about to walk out the door.
Yeah.
They have people waiting on them for dinner.
Yeah.
That's kind of not the time to break
best
that
time.
conversation. Yeah,
No.
it's not the time to have that conversation. So I kind of get it in that moment of
He's
like,
just trying to skirt her away in a way
Yeah.
that makes sense, and like to do a funny, flirty joke is, I think, a good way to get her off the topic because she is
Yep.
being serious. I don't think he's trying to be cheeky. I think he's trying to divert.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Before we get into the chapter with Narai, I just wanted to make a comment that several people on our Discord commented on how they thought that Narai was going to end up being Liana, and it just made me LOL. Like
That would have been
Shivary
the
was going to walk
worst
into the
dinner
room.
ever.
Yes, and that it was going to be
Hilarious.
this whole twist that it was Liana like pulling strings the whole time, which is interesting.
It is.
But I love that several people said that, and so I just wanted to point it out real quick before we
That
get
would
into
have
the
been
chapter.
funny.
Yeah.
So Nurai is gorgeous and has long black hair, and Xavian takes her hand and bows his head against it, and Varya notes that it is a strange greeting.
So I'm going to talk about it right here in this set of chapters. But if you think about who you bow your head to, you bow your head to a king, right? And I'm wondering if Narai is Xavion's sister. And I have to wonder if he's bowing because maybe everybody present, like, remember, they're still in this pretend world where this is Xavion the general, not Xavion the king. And so I'm wondering if he's like playing into the part where like the wider world knows that Narai is the sister of the king. So bowing to her would be appropriate, but she's going to talk about a brother in a little bit. And I have to think that Xavion is the brother. This is Narai, his sister. Old
100%.
friend is because he can't say who she really is to him, but it's his sister.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't get it in the connection with him being the king at all. In this moment, I more read it as it was someone that he had known for a long time and respected for a long time. I also get major sibling vibes between them, but even if that doesn't end up being the case, I think that clearly they've known each other for a long time. He's respected her for a long time, and I think it was just a show of like reverence and respect.
Yeah.
In the moment.
I agree. I do think that they're siblings too, and I think that it was actually in the next chapter that it clicked for me. I was like, oh, this is weird. And then when we go to the story in Brax, then I'm like, they're siblings, but we'll get to that.
I think I was reading the bow with like Lindsay in my brain at the moment with her. What would it happen to somebody related to a king? They would bow.
Well, and she's royalty. If he is the king and they're siblings, that makes her royalty. She's
exactly
either considered a queen or the princess or a princess, right?
Not necessarily if it's familial, but we don't know that Xavion took over the throne through a familial connection. It could have been like you're the king because you took it over in a war sense. In that case, she would be.
So she's just a sibling of a king. She's still
right,
but still deference to a sibling of a
for
king
sure.
if she is in fact the sister to the king.
Yeah.
And I think in this scene too, the way that Narai is assessing Vari is on a second read, like once we kind of talked about, hey, we kind of get sibling vibes. It's so funny rereading it because it's like the sister being like, are you good enough for my brother? And it's very funny on a second read of like, oh, she's being a bitch. Like, you're not good enough for my brother. Or are you good enough for my brother? Yeah.
Which, as someone who has met several of her brother's girlfriends, I
get it.
Understand that on a deep level.
And your brother's not even a king.
My brother's not even a king.
Imagine.
He's just a normal old guy.
Normal, old, boring. No, I'm kidding.
Normal, old, boring guy. Sorry, Dan. Okay. This is the first time he introduces her as Miajna in front of the entire group. Previously, he has said it individually in front of people, but here he says it in front of Narai and the whole group. Most important to note that this is the first time that Auri has heard Xavion call Vari Miajna, and she is shocked. She's just as shocked as Narai are. They both are like, excuse me, which let's connect those dots. It means that because Kashek had previously heard him say Miajna, it means that Kashek never told Auri. Now, in his defense, we think that mates are not something that you talk about, just like they don't talk about their powers. They don't really talk about who their mate is. I think it's
Fight Club.
Hold, right, you hold that true to your chest. But also don't forget that Kashek has been laid up over the last couple of days.
Right.
So it makes sense that this isn't the first piece of information that he talked to Auri about if he's woken up at all.
Right. I'm in so much pain, but by the way...
Oh, no, I would have been
mates.
like, babe, do you got any tea to spill? What did you learn? I would have been like,
guess what I learned?
This from me.
That's how I'd be. I'd be at like my husband's bedside being like, babe, guess what I heard?
Yeah.
And
been like, I'm
my husband
sorry,
be
it
like,
was
really
bad. I couldn't tell you. And I would have been like, well, did you die? You should
yeah.
have told me.
But did you die? There's tea to spill. You're not dead. Wake up.
I promise you guys, if I have tea like this ever, On the deathbed, I'm spilling
You're telling it to
you
us?
guys.
Good.
Thank you. You will be. It will already be in our text thread.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. The last text she ever sends will be tea.
Yep. Nurai gives Vari several once-overs and appears to find her lacking, or at least that Shavaria's read on it. Again, Shavaria has always doubted herself and doubted how powerful she is and how beautiful she is. So we don't really know if that's how Nurai felt, but that was Shavaria's interpretation.
Right. We also don't know at this point Narai's power either. So we don't know how she is assessing Vari and what she may see through or not see through as well.
But she does test her because we get the my spine tingles, icy shards of her gift creeping down the length of it as my heart thunders in my chest and the air is driven from my lungs. The chill weaving through my veins is unlike any touch of the feigned gift I felt before. It grows and deepens, searching until my demon is stirred. So Nurai senses Vari's power there, and she also says her brow pinching with displeasure. I think that's why she's like, I'm finding her lacking. In reality, Nurai is probably pinching in displeasure because she has no clue what Shavaria is and what she's feeling in this moment, right?
Yes.
I can only remember Vari's demon waking up in like either dire circumstances or that first time when Rish tested his gift, because that was just surprising. It was the first time. But her demon wakes up here. So to me, that says that Nurai is very, very powerful.
Yep.
And I think that's important to note. Whatever her gift is, her bond to Shivay is very, very strong.
Yeah. So
I like that wording.
Yes. So I actually think that the reason why she, like, her brow is pinched in displeasure, and I know Pete, you made a note here later about like what's going on with Rish, like he seems really focused. Remember, you just said that her demon perked up like this before when she met Rish and when Rish kind of tested his power against her. I actually think, and I know that you had this theory too, like is Rish like dampening her power so that they can't see through Shavaria's, like who Shavaria is. I think that Nurai is trying to figure out who Vari is and trying to test her power, and Rish is trying to block that from happening. So I think she's displeased because she's like, wait a minute, why am I having trouble? Why can't I see through this? And I think the demon perks up because to me, that's a clue that Rish is doing something and his power is being used, because that's the only other time we've gotten that connection since she's been here outside of her dreams.
Yeah. I also think the opposite could be true, though, that he's not blocking, that he's trying to amplify whatever Nurai is doing. And they're trying together to figure out what Shavaria is. Because one of the conversations that Shavaria overhears, and I don't remember which one it is, but there is a point where she overhears them talking about, like, is it the same conversation where like, oh, his power hasn't been, or no one with Keshek's power has been born. And then they're like, can they do it together kind of thing? Or can they do it with Rish? What's that conversation?
The last episode after Keshek was overwhelmed and she hears them talking about using Nurai with one of their gifts. It's that one.
So I think it's that conversation. So if you pair that conversation together with this conversation, I think that that's what they're trying to do together, is they know that something is going on with Shavaria, but they can't crack it. And so together with Nurai and Rish together, they're trying to figure out if they can figure out what Vari is.
Yeah, so she is feeling his power, and that's why her demon's waking up. But you're saying he's not blocking her; he's actually helping her.
I think only because of that previous conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes
I don't
sense.
know though.
The only other detail, I'll just add a third. Why not?
Hey.
I feel like because we know he's a Breck, right? We know specifically he can amplify or block gifts. I would probably assume that extends to sensing a gift itself. Like to be able to amplify or block it, you have to sense when a gift is being used, right? So if he feels Nurai using her gift or testing her gift against Vari. He might simply be like, bitch, what you doing? We're just
what's
about to
going
have dinner.
Listen, she is
So
sus.
if he feels her doing that, he might just be like, why are you doing that? What's going on? It might, and to your point, Lindsay, I do absolutely believe they've brought Nurai in with Rish to do something related to Shivaria, but it could also just be simply Rish is like, wait a minute, we haven't gotten to that stage yet. We're just about to have a nice little dinner. Why are you
at least
not
let me enjoy the bread first.
Yeah. I'm hungry here. Do we have
seriously.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, we don't have an answer to what this interaction is yet, but I feel like this is one that eventually we will go, oh, that's what was going on there.
Yep. And I just love how Xavian misses all of this. Like, he doesn't pick up on any of these nuances.
Well, Shivaria doesn't notice if he does or not, because she doesn't bring him up at all.
She doesn't.
They're all so wrapped up in their own thoughts.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything. And Rish is over here being like, huh? And Nurai is over here like, huh? And Xavian's like, okay, dinner now.
Well, Xavian obviously really trusts Nurai, right? That's why he's brought her into this situation. And if you look at it from the perspective, like all those different takes on this that we just said between the three of us, Xavian would be tied up in that plan no matter what. Like, if it was to block her, if it was to boost her, Xavian would be a part of that. So Xavian isn't necessarily paying attention to Shivaria here because he is so focused on what is happening with Rish and Nurai doing whatever they are to each other. You know what I mean? Like, he's distracted by that because clearly he's in on whatever plan that is.
The plan is, yeah.
Or if it is his sister, he could be just simply distracted by, like, he wants this to go well. Like, girlfriend meeting sister for the first time, and he could just literally be distracted.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, Nurai questions the crap out of her. She's like, oh, do you know your lineage? She says, yes, I'm Fain on my mother's side. Narai's like, really? She does not believe her, I don't think, for a second. But Vari is sticking to the story that she has been told by Lyanna to go by. And Nurai does not seem to trust her or buy it at all. And then finally we get a sense that Xavian is sensing the tension because Kath loves this. Kath, what is Shivaria doing? How does he know?
She's clenching a knife.
He's like next to the thing. And he's like, okay, all right. I'm going to
like squeezes her knee.
You need to calm down.
Like, calm down, sweetie.
You're being too loud. So Nurai changes the subject. She asks Auri how Kashek is doing. And she tries to reassure Auri with actually a quote that I was like, wait, maybe you're not that awful. She says, remember, our bodies were meant to live eternally. We are more resilient than you can imagine, which I think helps Auri here in this moment. She says, Nurai continues, I admit I was shocked when Xavian wrote to me and told me about the situation. To my knowledge, your mate is the strongest healer of his kind born since the war. What kind?
What you healing?
Exactly.
What you healing?
Exactly, Lindsay. And
kind of healer.
What kind of healer?
Shit.
Now there are different kinds of healers, okay, which we know in our episode with Jess. She did talk to us about how we could think of healers, like we think of like doctors with specializations, right? So like, Rhea can heal bone, Caden can heal other things. So there are definitely multiple kinds. TBD on what the heck Kashek can heal.
It also tells us that Kashek is very old since he was born since the First War.
Yes.
So he's been around for a while.
Oh, yeah. And this shocks Vari. She's like, wait a minute, what war? First war. And in her conversation with herself, she's like, wait a minute, Xavian's older than that. Like, she kind of starts to be like, well, this is like, girl, this is an age gap for sure.
Really? You finally got there, girl?
Oh, yeah.
How old your boy is?
Yep. She's like, wait, maybe I should know how old he is.
It's an age gap, but don't worry. It's several hundred years, so it's acceptable.
Right. It is totally fine. We also find out that Narai was born in Brax shortly before the Sundering. And then we get to go into a story because Vari seems very interested in her life stories and her dealings in Brax.
So we're in Brax 3 years after the Sundering. This is before the First War. So we find Narai and Muri are friends. This is a third-person point of view chapter from Narai's perspective. She mentions to Muri she's been visiting with the human Latari king. She's been attempting to bond with his people, but apparently her hosts wanted her to return from Brax. She says, quote, I fear the Sundering may have only fueled their desire to see what remains of the Fae purge from their land. Despite my hopes, I'm not sure diplomacy will change that, which is very, very interesting. You know, they're I guess, trying to repair human Fae relations at this stage, right? But they mention, something that might help repair those relations, or maybe someone. And Narai says she might ask her brother, who could use his gift to persuade the humans. Now, we're not taking this to mean that he's going to actually use like some kind of like gift of persuasion. But whatever his gift is, would persuade the humans. And the reason I think it's that is because Muri mentions that, Arda, Nyx, and Voss have already tried to convince your brother and failed. And Muri is like, I don't think we need to use that type of gift at this stage. Kind of, it's almost like Muri is implying that whatever gift her brother is, whoever that is not a gift you would necessarily want to use on the humans. What do you guys think?
So this is where I started to think that the sibling was Xavian, and it's for a couple of reasons. First is because in our last episode, when we played Count the Vatruk, we shared our theory that we think that Xavian was once a Vatruk. In this situation, Muri is literally naming all of the other Vatruk outside of Xavian. So, we know that none of those Arda, Nyx, Voss, obviously they're not all brothers, but none of those are a sibling to her. And so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it is Xavian. And then she goes into the fact that he refuses to go and help, right? That makes me think, okay, well, we know that Xavian, if he was a Vatruk, he left, right? And he's not part of that anymore. And so he would say, no, I'm not going to do that because in my head, well, he doesn't agree with whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. So those kind of things to me started being like, I wonder if that is the sibling. Also in the previous chapter, when they described her and they said, oh, she has black hair and storm blue eyes. I was like, who does that remind me of? And they said she has olive skin. And so those things paired with this, I'm like, okay, maybe this is kind of where they're leading here.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yes. I have nothing else to add other than, yes, that was beautiful. 10 out of 10 theorizing there. Beautiful.
We agree.
I have nothing else to
Good,
add.
we agree.
That was perfect. Love it.
So you agree? You think you're really pretty?
I concur.
I agree. I think Xavian is the king and Narai's brother. And that he has a powerful power that we don't yet know of. But as soon as we find out, we'll come back to a sentence like this and we'll go, so that's how he could have used that power to persuade.
Right. Right. And we talk all the time about how Jess is tricky with the language in the book. And so we have said that we are not quite sure if we actually believe that he is a Reaver. And if he is a Reaver, that it doesn't actually mean what everyone believes that it means in the book or what Shivary has been told that it means. But if we go based on, well, Shivaria has said that everyone says a Reaver can invade the mind of any man. If we believe that, it would make sense that invading the mind of people would fit into this quote and would make sense of why you would want to bring someone with that power. So I think it's another red herring for us to be like, oh, it has to be that even though we still don't
Yeah.
think that that's what his power actually is. I think it's pushing us to believe that.
Yeah, and the fact that Muri is like, I don't think violence is the answer. And I'm kind of like, invading a mind doesn't seem violent. It seems like intrusive, but not violent. You know, when I see violence, I think destruction. So I have to think that his power is something much more visually violent, destructive along those rounds. Just because of how Narai is like, violence isn't the answer. Granted, we read into everything at this stage.
And then we get two quotes between Nurai and Muri that I think paired together are very powerful words between the two of them. So Nurai says to Muri, "You know better than most the things we will do to help the ones we love," which causes Muri to wince. Muri can't help the wince that follows her statement. She knows all too well the cost that comes of granting such a request. So clearly this is in reference to saving the child's life, who we theorize, remember, is Vikesh. And then let's pair that with the next quote. There is a tree that we see. A sadness passes behind the ice blue of her eyes, her gaze settling on a tree at the edge of the forest. It's a tall oak, and long ago had been a sturdy and thriving thing. It had been nursed by the Fae as a seedling upon the fertile soil of Terre. Hundreds of years it grew in this forest, casting its branches out to offer the protection of its shade. Its trunk is twisted, as if spent its lifetime dancing as it spun, searching for the sun beyond the thick canopy overhead. But its leaves are too golden in the midsummer heat, and many are cast to the ground from the gentle breeze that stirs them. A hollow in its trunk, where no doubt countless squirrels raised their broods and hid their hoards for winter, now cracked and fissured, less a home than it was before. So think about this quote in the context of what we just saw from Muri. She is really starting to regret the choices that she's made and see firsthand what those choices have caused when it comes to Terre. She sees this tree that was there for hundreds of years, perfectly healthy, perfectly wonderful, and now after she saved the child's life, it has now started to wither and die, much like what has happened to Shivarya's homeland of Latari, right?
Yeah, and even the Naya's spring. She says the Naya's spring is dying, all because Muri bound Vikesh's life to Terre, and Terre is dying now. Because the fates said, well, that's the price.
Yeah. And then Nurai tells Muri, "When the humans took the life of your mother." Interesting. Remember, Muri, Arda, Voss, and Nyx are siblings.
All siblings.
So their mother was killed by the humans. Huh.
That adds to
Some
some
history there.
feelings. There's
some
that is
history
a good
there.
nugget.
Muri remembers that Voss was so angry when their mother died, but when she got pregnant, her joy returned, saying, quote, "There were days when I thought she might end the entire human race herself. She was so consumed by it." And then, Muri says, a small smile forming on her face as she recalls it, her belly began to swell and all of that anger vanished. So again, call back to our theory here about Vikesh being the child. Notice in this chapter as well, there are no pronouns. Again, it is just the child. So no further hints of whether it was male or female. Because it's male and his name is Vikesh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
100%. But I mean, it's like, it's almost like the Vitruk already had a reason to hate the humans, right? The humans killed their mother. And now they have more reason to hate the humans because the ancients used the sundering to protect the humans. And then that caused everything with Vikesh. It doesn't justify. I'm just saying I understand your perspective on the issue.
Yeah.
But it also, I think Muri mentions also the fact that it was like something to the effect of like Voss's like life began and ended with that child.
Yeah.
Like she would do anything for that child. Like her whole world, once she got pregnant, revolved around that child. And I still think that's what's driving her here today,
100%,
right? Is to save and protect her own child.
Well, then in this scene, a bog sprite hands a large seed to Muri. This bog sprite has short green hair, and the sprite tells her in Fae
Get it, Kelly. Say it.
something. Lindsay?
Rutana hirin thielme.
To which Muri replies,
Vara?
What?
Yeah, huh? I don't think that actually translates to huh, but she asked the question. But
I hope that means
I mean, I see it. I know that you're going to yell at me and say Latin, but I don't speak Latin. I speak Italian. Well, actually, I do speak Latin, which is sad, but Italian. And it looks to me like the word truthfully, like really, right?
Yeah.
And Narai says in the next chapter that Muri came to her just before the war and told me of the conversation she had with the sprite at the market. Fae were disappearing, ancient stands of trees had begun to die, and none of the Fae knew why. And the sprite was sent by the Fae to ask her for help and offer aid. It is very important here, I think, to note that we find out that Muri was the only Fane that Narai knew of in the whole Vale that was able to learn their language. The quote is, the sprites deemed her worthy of that honor. That is super interesting because who else did the sprites deem worthy of that honor, everybody? Class?
Shivaria.
Yes. So we see that Shivaria also is deemed worthy by the sprites to learn their language. Narai notes, but the sprites seemed to weave the fabrics of the fate's design, carefully stitching the pattern as they went about their lives. On the whole of Tear, in every vale, there would never be a friendship more coveted than that of a sprite. Very important for our what we know about Tig and Eon and Shivaria. And also, I think, very important and maybe a bit of foreshadowing or something we need to pay attention to about Muri, because that's a big statement.
And the fates.
The fates.
mention of the fates here.
Exactly. And the bog sprite asks Narai for a favor for nothing. They literally offer her herbs that are not even that big of a deal. And Narai almost doesn't agree, but then she kind of is like, okay. And she agrees to the favor, and she immediately feels that bargain etched into her skin. And she asks what the favor is, and basically the sprites were like, we'll come find you when it's time to cash in. And that has never happened. So TBD, favor, when you coming back into play?
Got my eyes on you, Bog Spray.
Got your eyes on you.
Where are you?
Oh, ho, ho.
Back in the present day, Narai still carries the mark on her skin as the bog sprite still hasn't come to complete their bargain. She admits that she was friends with the Vitruk, but she is no longer because of how they treat the Fae. Narai also mentions the siblings, Arda, Voss, Nyx, and Muri, and she says, quote, Muri was always close with the Fae, and the others must have known that she would never agree to harm them. I believe they kept it from her as long as they could, but when she found out, ... and clearly Muri has found out and rebelled against them. So we know that Muri had turned on them during the First War, obviously because of what they were doing to the Fae. The Fae were seeking her help about why the ancient strands of trees were dying, and then she was killed. Somehow, we don't know that story on the page, how she was killed in the war, though. Vari is the one that said, Phaedra said that Muri was killed in the First War. Technically, Narai doesn't confirm this. She only says, and then she was gone. Gone, not killed. And I think that word choice is important here. We will come back to that.
Yes.
Yeah. No dead, no body.
No body, no dead.
She asks what aid. So the Fae asked Muri for help, but they also offered aid back to Muri, We don't know yet what that aid was, since Nurai says Muri never told her. But Catherine has a thought.
Oh, it's a thought.
It's an insane thought that that resulted in the most unhinged voice memo to these ladies that think I've ever
multiple. Don't say
in
memo.
my
It was
life.
memos.
Multiple.
Memos.
Because I was working on this outline here, and I was just like, okay, so yeah, she offers aid, but we don't know what that was. And then I remembered the bog sprite here literally handed Muri a seed. And then it hit me. It was a literal seed that was the aid, a literal seed of Shivay. Mm-hmm. And then my brain fucking exploded because the aid was a goddamned seed. And remember, we know the definition of the Valtura. The ancients left us with a seed of Shivay, a soul to guard us if ever there was a need. This bog sprite has handed Muri, a Fane, a seed. Mm-hmm. And maybe this bog sprite was given this seed by an ancient, but Shivaria comes from a literal seed.
Yep.
And that's fucking ridiculous. But think about this interesting word choice. The demon at the end of the book that's living within Shivaria is Shivay, right? That's what she introduces herself as to Vari. Yep. At the end, I am Shivay, right? Shivay is the soul of Ter, and Shivaria is the child of that because she was literally born from a seed of Ter.
Yep.
Vari doesn't have parents in like the traditional sense because she was literally born from the ground of Ter, from an actual seed of Shivay, and that is why she is the child of Shivay. And I can't believe it because Jess is so specific in her language, and we read into everything, and she's like, I told you she's a seed of Shivay, and obviously we all discounted that, but seed. She is.
Yep, it's not just a metaphor, people. Like, they've said it multiple times. We gave you a seed. We gave you a soul. It's the Valtura. Here is the actual scene where she gives Muri a seed.
Which means that Muri was in possession of Shivaria.
In her pocket.
Literally.
All this time.
In her seedling form.
Right. Where do you keep that seed?
And how did we get from point A to point B? Because Shivaria wasn't like born, right? So, like, where was that seed the whole time? Like, was she in Muri's possession?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. And even, I remember Vari was even questioning Xavian back in chapter 31, like, why didn't this Valtura show itself during the first war or the second war? If it's like meant to protect the Fane, why hasn't it been here? And Xavian's like, well, you know, I've asked myself that many, many times. And I think the answer is simply, it took Muri that long to realize that the price she paid to the Fates, the fact that she chose to bind Vikesh's life to Shivay, she sees Ter dying, it finally was just enough for her. Mm-hmm. So she plants
the seed. I totally agree. I feel like you're so right. Like we see that scene where she has that reaction to realizing what she did when she brought the child, which we have theorized as Vikesh, back to life. And I agree, Catherine. I absolutely see that this reaction and this emotion that she has would then lead her to say, essentially, shit, what have I done?
Yeah.
I need to balance this. Like, this is not okay. Something needs to be done. And this is what she does.
And I see one of two options, and I really want to know which ones you guys think, or if you think it's something else entirely, right? Because if Muri has finally decided to plant this seed, right? So either one, she's like, I'm going to reverse what I originally did. I'm going to save Ter, and assuming that reversal causes Vikesh to lose his life, right? She knows the Vitruk will grow vengeful. And so she's planted the seed, a soul to guard us if ever in need. So basically, Vari is that soul to protect against a vengeful Vitruk.
Yeah.
Or is it Muri needs the Valtura in order to reverse this choice? Right? If she needs the Valtura to save Tear. And I'm not really sure which one it is. And to add even more to it, I'm not even sure this is necessarily what the ancients had in mind, right? Like, this could be what Muri wants to use her for because she feels all of this guilt. But really, what did the ancients intend for the Valtura to be used for? So, I mean, sitting here trying to process it, what do you guys think on this one?
Well, my immediate thought when you said that is like, okay, we talked about how Muri had the seed for a long time, but the bog sprite had it first. So when we think to Tig and Eon and we think of how important Shivaria is to them, it's almost like the sprites like had such big reverence for the seed. Like if it was left by the ancients, the sprites had it for a long time before they decided to give it to Muri. So that makes sense when you connect Shivaria and her relationship with Tig and Eon and why Tig and Eon have such, like, hold her in such importance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
The sprites might be their role to protect the soul of Shivay. And if that is in form of Shivaria, that's what they're going to do. It makes so much sense, Lindsay. Yeah.
It also makes me really want to pay attention to Shivaria's connection to Tear itself, like not just Shivay, but to Tear and to the earth, and just check all those references. And maybe that needs to be a tab in my book 2 when book 2 comes out, because I feel like that could be important. Yeah.
Unnamed
not just
book
the
2.
soul of Tear, but also the physical implications of that as well on the world, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, Lindsay, as you bring up, like if a sprite handed Muri this seed, right, I have to wonder the connection between Muri and Tig specifically, right? And I see so much personal manipulation from Muri. If we're all correct in our theories, right? With Muri choosing when to plant the seed, Muri choosing what to use Shivaria for. And I have to wonder if that goes against what Tig and what the ancients ultimately want to use her for. Like, I can't decide if Tig and Muri are on the same side here or if there will be conflict, because it's almost like you never, like, I trust Tig, I guess I'm saying. Muri is manipulating things, but I trust Tig. I don't know how I feel about Muri.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to say because so many years have passed since Muri died in the war, and when we meet Tig. So I feel like so much could change and so much can happen that it's hard for me to connect the two of them to know, is it like a continuation of what the fates and what the sprites believe in, or have things shifted at all? And I don't know if I have a big enough theory for that. All right. So for everyone who is following, just to recap, Catherine is claiming, and Lindsay and I, it sounds like, are in agreement here.
I have questions, but I agree as a whole.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, would have definitely questions.
Too. How are you
definitely have
from
questions?
A fucking
but
did you get water?
The theory is Shivaria was literally born from a seed that was handed.
Sounds so silly when you say it.
It sounds insane, but she is if she is a Valtura, and the Valtura's definition is a seed, the soul of Shivay, and this bog sprite hands Muri a seed, and she's suspiciously quiet about what they asked her to do with this seed.
And it's a big seed, too.
It's a big fucking seed.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's not just like a little
Gotta
seed.
grow a
It's
person
it's
out
like
of it.
Not a tiny seed. It's a big fucking deal. Okay? We are theorizing Shivaria doesn't have actual parents because the bitch was born from a seed in the ground with the soul of Shivay and the trees on the branch and the branch on. Do you guys know what song I'm singing? Anyway,
Yes.
and the
a hole
green
in the
grass
bog and a
grows
bog
all
down
around,
through
all
the
around.
valley.
all around, and the green grass grew all around.
Okay, so that song is Shivaria. She's built from a seed. We're insane. It is unhinged, but guess what? Catherine convinced us because she had the receipts, and we are sat for this theory. Come at us. We'll fight you. Okay, we're not going to fight you, but we're really confident about this. Yeah. Catherine, did I do a good job of summarizing the insanity?
The unhingedness that is like a person was born from a seed
Shivaria.
into the ground.
Shivaria is a seed, and the seed is the ground, and the sprite gave the seed to Murray, and the green grass grew all around, all around. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
cool.
at this point, we have to take
Great.
Jess
We're
literal
agreed.
with all of her words because she chooses her words so carefully, as we have seen time and time again. So, Jess, I'm
The fuck?
choosing to take your words literally here.
You said the seed. You said
You
it.
said it.
Listen.
It's your fault.
Bitch, you said it. You said seed, so we went seed. All right.
Don't say seed again.
Seed.
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 Stop trying to make seed happen.
After all of that,
Oh.
Shivaria makes kind of a social gaffe, and she asks Narai what she did to the Fae to make them mistrust her, since the Fae are so willing to risk the shipbreaker, yet the sprite who bound Narai hasn't sought her out yet. Narai is insulted by this insinuation that she did anything to the Fae.
Narai assumes that Vari's saying, you, Narai, what you did. And I think Narai might be referring to the Fae as a whole. Like the Fae sided with the Vitruk. The Vitruk are evil, Dej, right? And so I think it's like the Fae broke with the Fane because some of the Fane sided with the Vitruk. So I think Narai is thinking very center of the universe. You know, everything revolves around me. And I think Vari is thinking, no, not you specifically, but you, plural, the Fane. What do you guys do?
Yeah. Well, and dinner ends, and Rish sticks up for Narai in that moment, and he says, you know, the Fae really have distanced themselves from the Fanes since the First War. It's not just Narai. So Shivaria was clearly being very pointed, and he's like, hold on, back up a little bit. It's not just her. This was the races in general. This was happening between them. And then Vari realizes that Xavian was alive even before the Sundering.
Well, yeah.
She also notes that Auri is still distancing herself from Shivaria and kind of has that thought of like, I wonder how long this will last. But after I go to the king tomorrow and tell him who I am, she probably won't care anyways.
Or she'll care a whole lot.
Or she'll care a whole lot.
Either she'll be alive or she'll be dead. Either one.
Really, honestly, the best quote of my entire life.
Yeah. And then Shivaria tells Xavian that she doesn't trust Narai or her story. And she says, quote, there's something about the female, something about her story. As much as I try to tell myself that it maybe is my only ignorance causing this feeling in my gut, I can't make myself believe it. Then she follows that up with, there's only one person I trust. Now, when she thinks that, guys, do you think that she's talking about Xavian here or Vikesh? Because I think she's talking about Vikesh. I don't think she's still... Xavian. I don't think she trusts Xavian in this moment. I think in this moment, she still only trusts Vikesh. And that's big. If you think about the context of this moment, and she's with Xavian now, and she wants to move to Akerai with him, and Vikesh hurt her the way he did, and she still only trusts Vikesh.
Yeah.
So do we all think it's Vikesh?
It's not Xavian. It's definitely not Xavian. Yeah.
Like, I know she trusts Tig. I know. I
That's
feel
the
she
only
has
other
Tig,
person I would
but
think that
I
it would be.
still don't think she's.
I don't think that's what she's
referring
talking about.
Tig
No.
here in this moment. Something about seeing Tig as something other than simply a person, but seeing Tig as something like more than just a person. That's why I feel like there's a differentiator there between Tig and who
she would have said
being.
here. Like there's only one being or one whatever, but she specifically says
fae,
person.
one whatever.
Yep. Yeah. And I also want to just highlight the fact that this girl questions nothing. She only has questioned two things of massive importance: the definition of a reaver, and now she's questioning Nurai. And simply because she doesn't question anything, but she's questioning Nurai, it makes me question Nurai as well. I don't even care that this is Xavion's sister.
No, it's sus.
She's still question her.
Literally, the sprites gave her next to nothing and asked her for a bargain. The sprites don't trust. They don't respect her or trust her. That she is suspicious. Yes. There's something about her that I also don't trust.
Yeah. And if she's so powerful like we think she is, it would make sense the Fae would want to bargain with her because they could use her and her very powerful gift at a later time.
Yep. 100%.
Or her brother.
True. Keep her on their side.
Maybe.
Like we don't know that the favor is something that she could grant them, or it could be a manipulation. Yeah.
Well, after dinner, we get some more lovemaking. And Vari invites Xavion to bite her neck, but he does not. And smile falls from his lips.
Killjoy.
I know. Let's remember here, though, that we think that biting will mark her so that others cannot bite her, right? Yeah. We think their mating bond has cemented in the last episode, but there is something special or different about the act of biting that causes him to pause here, and we will talk a little bit more about that later in this episode as well. When he rejects her ask here, he gives us a really great quote. He says, "I will give you everything." He puffs out against the base of my neck, but only when you understand what it is you are asking for. This is another thing that makes the lights in my head go off, that there is something that she needs to ask specifically, that there is a reason why he is not sharing anything with her that we desperately want him to share. And I think this is just another smart little sentence that Jess has put in here to make us know there's something deeper going on here.
I hope so.
I know you do.
Much.
Yeah, I know you do.
Or it's not about the like larger picture of all the conversations we've had up to this point. It's just about the mating bond specifically. I mean, you think about that as a quote unquote mortal who doesn't know anything about mating bonds. That's a tough conversation to have. Not one that you're just going to be like, oh, by the way, we're mated.
Here's what this means.
So this is, so I think like, but only when you understand what it is you're asking for, like you're asking to be my mate, my everything. And I want you to know what that truly means before we just bite each other tonight, you know?
And that makes even more sense given the fact that our theory is that he is the king. He would not want her to choose this without knowing who he truly is in theory, if he has been hiding the fact that he is the king from her. So that is, I think, another point to your statement there, Lindsay.
So it's basically like there might be things oath binding him, not to say, but in this instance specifically, you're like, I think he wants her to be ready to choose him as a mate before we're going to go
everything.
down that route.
I like that.
Essentially.
Yeah, I like that.
This is the pick and choose one.
Yeah, erase mine, that one.
I don't think that this is another instance of he's hiding things from her or he's not telling her something. I think this is an instance of no, we're going to be mated for life. That means a lot and we need to carefully consider. And I want you to understand that. And you have no mortal understanding of what that means.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I can appreciate him wanting to do that delicately, considering she's being tortured later on when she finds out what mating bonds actually are. And that was not the best way to find out.
Right.
So I can appreciate him wanting to do it when she's ready and in a romantic, delicate kind of fashion.
Yep. And Shivaria says to him, if there are things that you wish to tell me, why make me ask? Thank you for finally asking this, Shivaria. I was like, yes, okay. And his answer.
She's getting there.
Right, she's getting there. It's the end of the book. And his answer is, because, Miajna, I believe you will ask me when you are ready, and I trust you to know when that time is right for you.
Okay.
All right. Which way are we leaning here? Do we think that Xavian is, like, literally can't tell her until she's ready, or do we think that Xavian is choosing not to tell her until she's ready?
I think Lindsay.
Both.
I think it's what Lindsay said. I think what Lindsay said about the mating bond is when she's ready. I could understand the king thing could be an oath thing, because how do you keep a secret unless you make people swear an oath to you, essentially?
Well, I see this question as like not just about this
here,
one thing.
Yeah.
I think it's like in general, why are you making me ask all these questions to find out all the things, you know?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I am leaning, mating bond aside, him and the rest of the crew not telling her anything yet. I think my head is leaning towards they can't, like physically. I think that they're bound in some way. My first read, I really thought that Auri was glaring and that it was a glamour. And the more I've read, I think I lean away from that. I think that they can't tell her.
Yeah, I think it's more a glamour when he's presenting himself as king, but not when he's just every day walking around. It's nighttime, and Shivaria has a doozy of a nightmare. Remember, guys, Kashek is out of commission. He's still recovering, right? And even though she had some glorious orgasms from Xavian, her demon is getting a lot harder to control. So let's walk through this dream, okay? Blood pools by her feet as a shiver snakes up her spine. Curious, because that's very similar to what she feels when the Fae use their gifts on her. The demon's blade slices across the floor. The still form of a woman is reaching for Vari. The demon steps towards Vari. Dark storm is tearing through the fabric of the veil, spearing the demon with a black blade etched in starlight. And I think we need to note that word starlight. It's going to become important. The demon falls to his knees with a wail, dark blood weeping from its chest to the floor. We know Vari's demon introduces herself as Shivay, right later on at the end of the book. Right here, she's noting a his pronoun for this demon that has just been stabbed with a blade, but nobody in real life gets stabbed. So who just got stabbed with a blade? Like, who is a he that is this demon that just got stabbed with a blade in her dream? An old woman in tattered rags rises from where the demon falls in a crumbled heap. A large hood obscuring her face, a black-toothed smile. Bagia.
Hey, girl.
Bagia.
And she says, give up the lie. So Bagia has risen from this demon. Like, is this like typical dream weirdness, or does this have meaning? Probably has meaning.
Knowing the author.
This is
There's a
JR
meaning.
Cathers' book.
I think that Bhagya appearing to Shivaria in her dream in this moment shows just how important Bhagya is in Shivaria's story as a whole. And it's almost like Shivaria's subconscious knows that Bhagya is the catalyst for all of this, right? Like in this moment, it's Bhagya being in the dream that kind of ends the dream and like the real world starts for her. And so, and that's kind of what Bhagya was in her life, of like, she was the lie And now Bagyo is the catalyst of the real world starting in her life as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like she started the unraveling of the lie.
Yes.
So it's like we're coming to almost a climax of the dreams.
Yeah.
And so Bhagia is present for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've gotten to the end of the dream, right? So now the real world, everything we read from here on out is influencing the dream itself. And we've talked for 6 episodes about Vari's dream, about drugging, about herbs, about teas, about who sees what they see when Vari has her demon dreams and what people know. So now it's time for a theory about what these dreams are. Lindsay, do you want to tell everybody what our theories are about these dreams?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yes, we're here. We made it.
Dreams!
All right. We think that these dreams mean more to not only Shivaria's story, but the world as a whole. We think that Shivaria is actually dreaming of something that is happening in another veil. And because if you notice, it's not that she's having a reoccurring nightmare. If it was something that had happened in her past, the nightmare would build upon itself. Like you would get a detail and then you would get another detail and then you would get another detail. But each of these dreams is actually slightly different, what leads us to think that it's not that she's remembering things, it's that she's experiencing an atrocity happening in another veil.
Yep, in the current time.
Yes, let's connect that to Kashek. We think that Kashek has been holding up or healing the veils that Vari might be tearing down during her dreams. That is why whenever Shivaria has a nightmare, Kashek is exhausted after it. It's why when you think about our theory about what the teas have been doing to her, that they might not be controlling her demon, it is all wrapped up into one pretty bow with a pretty package right here. So the whole time, Shivaria has been tearing down the veils. She's seeing the horrors that are happening in different places. They are trying to control her in different ways. The tea that they give her is not controlling her demon. It's just making it so that she can't remember. And Kashek is trying to heal it, which is why Auri is so upset with Shivaria because of Kashek's condition. Wow.
I love that.
That's a
Love
lot.
it. Love the theory.
Absolutely.
That's a lot. And when you think about what Shivaria is, she is the Valtura. She is the seed, Catherine, of Shivay. It makes sense that she would have a connection to all of the veils, not just the veil that she is currently in. She was left by the ancients. She was left before the veils even existed. So she would have her foot in all of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like if opening a portal.
She is the portal.
Yeah.
I fully believe that she is the portal.
Portal.
That's a great word, Kath.
Portal. Portal.
Yep.
Portal. 1,000%.
So let's go into the present world. Oh, do you have a thought? She has a thought.
If, like, it would make no sense, right, why the ancients would leave only one seed of Shivay, right, in one veil. Because there's 5 different veils, right? It would make a lot more sense that there's a seed of Shivay in literally every veil, right? Because it's, well, just because.
But
the
veils
ancients
didn't
existed
exist
before
then.
the veils.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I mean, think about it. If it's a seed of Shivay in the veils, if you're left in a veil that doesn't have the seed, then how does that help the Fae or the Fane in that veil? So
Because
I
it
feel like
transcends the veils, I think.
Yeah.
maybe, but I still think that it would make a lot more sense that there's seeds of Shivay in all the veils. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because what if there is something that connects all of these seeds of Shivay, right? They're all connected to Shivay. So what if what she's dreaming is happening in another veil to another seed of Shivay? Like she's opening up this portal, and who's the connecting piece on the other end is another seed of Shivay. It doesn't make sense to me why there's only one seed.
Because the
I feel like there's
seeds
going to be multiple
the
seeds.
ancients didn't know. No, so because I don't think the ancients had any idea that the veils were going to be torn, so they left a seed for the entirety of the world, and then the veils were torn.
Yeah, were created. Yeah, that's what I think too. I mean, I think it's possible
the
there are
veils were
multiple
created
seeds
after
as
that.
like backups, but like here's multiple seeds. Here's a bag of seeds. I don't know, but like I don't think it has to do with different veils because they didn't know about that.
But they did, because they knew the sundering was happening to put up these veils. So if you're going to give a seed of Shivay, should the Fane ever need it? And the only reason I say that is because it's like, here's the other reason I think that is because you remember when we were talking about whatever Eon's mate is called, right? And Jess was like saying, maybe something to the effect of, because Varia exists, it's open a world. Maybe there's some way that Rej is coming through. Maybe it's Shivaria. Maybe it's some other reason he's coming through. That just makes me think that if a Fae can come through a veil, then every veil would need something protecting them, because if a Fae can come through, who else could go through? And I know only Vitruk are in this veil, but I feel like to protect the whole of Terre, because we think about Terre as being almost like all of veils stacked, like dimensions within the same world. I feel like you would need a seed in every veil.
Yeah, I guess we don't. Yeah. There's no way to know because we don't know when the ancients created the seed. They could have created her 5,000 years ago.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, it's all possible. I'm not tied to that as a theory, but it could be possible. I mean, who knows? It's just
it all could be possible.
I also have an unhinged thought that somehow, like, I still have a lot of questions about why Shivaria was found when she was 4, and so part of me wonders if she came through a veil. Like, was she in another veil and something happened that she came through one of those tears? Like, not T-E-R-R, the world, herself, but like a tear in a veil, or created the tear herself, potentially.
Yeah.
And that's where those 4 missing years of her life were before she was found by Lyanna. I don't know.
Like those, I would agree that there's something extremely sus on, like, if we think about somebody being planted as a fucking seed. What is she, a baby? She's clearly was found by Lyanna at 4.
Right,
she's a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Yeah,
obviously.
How are they grown? We don't know.
Who watered her?
Right.
Who took care of Shivaria from a seed to 4 years old when Lyanna found her? It's like, I agree. Like, what happened in those 4 years? It's weird.
Who knows? I mean, to be fair,
we don't know.
We don't know. And scientifically speaking, children don't form memories before they're 4 years old. So it could just be really knowing human biology and knowing that your brain doesn't actually form memories before 4, and that's why she doesn't know anything.
Something like that. Yeah. She wouldn't
Could
she?
Be.
So Tig was taking care of a little Shivaria until she was 4, and then she's like off into the world.
Was she a flower?
Stole.
Was she a flower on a branch?
I think
or the
of
nymph.
her like Thumbelina. You remember Thumbelina?
Oh, I love Thumbelina.
When she was born from like the flower bloom, and she was tiny little, and that's what I think of.
Yeah, I love that. I want this story.
Good. Jess
we will
is
get
like,
it
I'll
eventually.
write it for you.
Sure. Okay. We also want to mention the use of the word starlight in the quote. It says, the dark storm tearing through the fabric of the veil, spearing the demon with a black blade etched in starlight. So the blade was potentially made of fainstone, since fainstone, the description that we had gotten earlier was that the blade pulls at the light in the room like they will draw the very flame inside of it and snuff it into darkness. The other possibility is in chapter 40, when Shivaria meets her demon, she also uses the word starlight. She says, I can feel her now, my demon, dancing in the midst of the starlight that encompasses me. So I think the use of starlight here is very intentional.
Yeah.
All right, so we are now in the present. Her dream has bled from dream into reality, okay? There is a black-scaled demon yelling her name. 2 more strange demons flood into the small space. She strikes at another demon, and it says, enough, Xavian. She's too strong. Do it now. Let's think about the number of demons here. It could be Xavian, Auri, Rish, and Kashek. The do it now sounds way too similar to the tell her that Auri had been screaming at him earlier. And we know that Shivaria is more, and that the group knows that, right? So the black scale demon rushing through the door, we assume that that is Xavian, right?
Yep.
The 2 strange demons, so 2 more people enter. I guess it could potentially be Nurai as well.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
But one
I
of the
assumed
crew,
it was the siblings, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's
And then-
2 more, so it could be Auri, Rish, Nurai, any combination of those 3.
Yeah. I lean towards it's not Kashek, because I think Kashek is still pretty injured. We don't know at this point if he's awake. So I'm going to guess, and I guess it could be Rhea as well.
Could
maybe.
be.
It could be. I feel like it's the twins and Nurai, because I feel like there's a reason why Nurai is visiting. She has some kind of strong power. I think she's here to specifically help them with whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. Because I do think that they're all involved in her dreams. And I think that's why every time she wakes up, Xavian's not in the bed next to her, because he's involved in trying to help this situation.
Well, and I guess also if you think about the next conversation, it is between Xavian, Nurai, Rish, and Auri. So it makes sense that those would be the 4 demons present in her dream if they're talking about it together in the next scene.
True.
Yep.
Because you
Because
being rational.
Agree.
Because our girl Shivaria here is literally the queen of overhearing people's conversations. And it's funny because I know that she's like a trained sneaky ass assassin of the shadows, but for some reason her stumbling upon these conversations does not feel purposeful. It feels like she just literally accidentally stumbles into conversation.
Yeah. Or like we've said, that they want her to hear this.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So this one, she says that she's waking up from a thick sludge of oblivion. Gross. Ugh. Remember, Kashek is still recovering here, so we can assume that maybe Nurai has used her power on Vari, and it feels similar.
Yeah, because they said like do it now, and that to me felt like Auri saying to like Rish and Nurai, like Kashek's not here, both of you do it. Nurai, whatever your gift is, use it. That's why they wrote to her.
Right. Rish, amplify her.
Right.
Rish amplify.
Do it now. And we've mentioned she's felt this void before, so somehow whatever Nurai's gift is, she's feeling that same void. So I feel like that's what happened ultimately. They knocked her out through whatever their feign gifts are.
Yep. And then Shivaria says, at last, my demon came to claim its portion of my dreams. So she has really made the connection between her power and the dreams, which
And
we
the fact
also
that-
made that connection.
Yeah.
But this also like highlights the fact that she hasn't remembered any dream for a while now. Like, she's like, oh, where have my dreams been? Oh, I got a banger of one now. Like,
Yep. It is bad. This one is so bad. Shivarya hears Xavian, Narai, Rish, and Ari, and they're having a conversation. Narai says, quote, "What you are asking is impossible, Xavian. There is not a Fane alive that still has the power to unbind her." Xavian says, "There is someone." Xavian emphatically says this, quote, "or she would not be as she is. Why is Shivarya the way that she is? Because of the bargain that she made with Bhagya in the woods." The next thing that Rish asks is the Vatruk, and Xavian confirms Muri was the only one left with that kind of power after the sundering. Reading this paragraph and knowing the way that Jess writes, this is my boom, boom, boom in my head that Muri is still alive, because he literally says she's the only one left after he literally just growled, "There is someone," emphatically. We have another theory here. I'm going to let Kath go into this because she went deep, deep, deep. But why are we talking about Muri and potentially who can unbind her, or the reason that she was in this situation in the first place, Bhagya? Kath, take us down this rabbit hole.
I love how we focus on like one word and we're like, this is an important word. This
It's
is an important paragraph.
It's so important.
That word, unbind, right? Muri has the power to unbind. We know she has the power of Shivay. We know she bound the child's life in chapter 30 to Shivay. We now know for sure that Muri can bind people. Xavian has just, as Kelly pointed out, emphatically said so.
I had to get that quote right because I was like, he is emphatic. This is important.
So, if Muri can bind people, then surely she can unbind them as well. And isn't it just so curious that Bhagya made a bargain with Vari, quote, "grant me the piece of the lie that binds you." So Vari's bargain with Bhagya started to unbind this lie, which is Vari as the Valtura, her power. So what we're theorizing is that Bhagya is using her power to unbind Vari. So wouldn't that mean Bhagya is Muri?
Yes, and that is the mask that she wears.
And that she
100%.
used Auri's mask.
She's not dead.
And that she used Auri's mask to hide her identity.
Exactly. That little paragraph of 3 sentences just put all those pieces together.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we can further
but I
cement
also think this supports, they still don't know that Vari is the Valtura, right? They still don't get it. They just think somebody has bound Vari. They think somebody with a gift like Muri, because they've already said, well, Muri's dead, so it can't be Muri. Wrong. And so what? They think she's probably some Fane that has her power bound, but they certainly don't think she's the Valtura at this point. I don't think, you guys tell me.
I don't think they think that she's the Valtura, but I think that they know that Muri is alive, or at least Xavian knows that Muri is alive based on this. That whole thing that I just went through.
Thinks that she's alive.
Oh, 100%.
Alive, though.
100%.
I wasn't sure if you were thinking it was he's like sussing that there has to be some other person. Nope. But you're like, nope, Xavian is convinced himself.
There is someone.
I agree.
It is specific. There is someone. And also we can further cement this theory because later down the road, when Bhagya visits Shivarya on the ship, she says, "I suppose Bhagya will do for now," implying that Bhagya is not her real name or her real identity.
Yes, that's such a good point.
Yep.
That's a big one, guys.
It's a huge one.
That's a big one, because let's think about the implications of what it means if Muri is still alive and all the Vatruk don't realize it. Xavian might just be starting to realize it. And if Miri has been Bagya this whole time, pulling the strings of getting the Valtura, and let's connect it one step further. If Shivarya is this seed, and that seed was given to Muri, and now Muri is acting as Bagya to unbind her, it means that Muri has been pulling the strings in the background this entire time. She is the catalyst for all of this.
1,000%. And who trusts Muri or trusted Muri? The sprites. Who do you want on your side always? The sprites. It is
the Fae.
It is fate happening, and it is absolutely insane. Lindsay, that was the best, like, jump. I feel like we can just end the episode. Bye, everybody. That was perfect. Goodbye.
Bye. You can talk about the rest of the chapters on your own. It's fine.
On your own. Let us know. Do your homework. No, we actually have so much more.
Like, figure it out.
So good.
No, don't you... the fact that it's not all, it's Muri manipulating things. So we can take this a step further and rethink our initial introduction to Bagya, right? When the first unbinding happened. If Bagya is Muri is the aunt of the child is Vikesh, Muri is Vikesh's aunt, meaning Bagya sicked a viper on Vikesh to orchestrate the entire meeting with Shivarya so that she could have that Latrice.
Right, but she had
and
the
we
Latrice.
always questioned, how did she know
she
that
made it.
Latrice
She
was
made it
needed?
happen.
Because she sicked a viper on her own nephew so that Shivarya would be forced to make a bargain with her. How fucking cruel and manipulative.
She wanted to force her to make a bargain with her, but she wanted to force, like, she knew what she was going to ask, right? She knew that she was going to make that bargain to be to start unbinding you. I also, not to defend Muri, think that she knew that Vikesh's life was never in danger.
Yes,
and so it's
I
not
agree.
like she's sicked, like, she sicked a viper on him, but she also knew deep down that he would be fine. Right.
Yeah.
That she
I
had
agree.
the cure.
She didn't tell
It's
him
manipulative.
about it ahead of time. It's still horribly manipulative.
No, it's manipulative.
Or
right.
maybe
she didn't tell him about it because that would ruin the whole thing.
We don't know.
Right. What does he know?
We know. No, we do know. No, we do know. The very, very end of the book, Vikesh is explaining all of this to Vari and says, when Bagya told me after she unbound you, that is when he became aware of it. He was not involved in this plot other than simply being an unwilling participant in it.
Or so he says, but yes. True. Okay. Oh, guys. Oh, my God. That's like theory number 18 in this episode.
I know. All of that connection, it just goes back to everybody's intentions and what everybody's role is in the background and behind the scenes of this world. It's huge.
What Vari overhears is this conversation between those four. Nurai suggests they take her back to Latari because if that's where she's from, then that's where they'll find answers.
Seems pretty close to Brax to me.
But this whole interaction with Nurai really started to make me suspect her intentions.
Yep.
I just didn't like how she was maneuvering things because they talk about who's going to go with them on this expedition. And then Nurai kind of manipulates things so that certain people maybe won't go on the expedition. And it's almost like I'm wondering if she's maneuvering them.
Oh, yeah.
In a certain way. So Xavian says Voss can't reach her behind these walls. And Auri says, well, I'll come with you. I'll come and glamour who you are. Xavian agrees. He says, okay, we'll take Shivarya to Latari, but I also want to bring along Rish since he can amplify gifts.
If she's on their side, why would she not want them to have Rish on the ship with the power that he has? So that is another thing that I find very sus.
Yeah. I just read that, like, I don't think I thought that Nurai was as suspicious as you guys did. I don't necessarily trust her, but I also don't think that she's being sus in this moment. I think she made the point of, like, it'd be a lot easier to go with a small contingency, which kind of makes sense to me. So I think it was more just not specifically don't take Riche, but just try to be a little bit more discreet. Like you're going to Latari, you're going close to Brax, which we know is where the Vatruk live. Try to be discreet. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Maybe I'm
That's
wrong.
fair.
I'm going to now work towards convincing you otherwise.
Okay.
That is
I
my
would
goal
love it.
for the rest of the episode. Yes.
Okay.
But Kelly, I think you have a theory here if you
Yes.
want to talk about what they're planning to do while they're in Latari or
Yes.
this whole glamour.
So the glamour statement here sent me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. And because I was rereading some of the last chapters and things over the last couple of days, everyone knows that we strongly believe that Xavian is the king. We have also theorized about the fact that, well, it makes sense that Auri can glamour, and so she may be glamoring him in certain situations, and we think that this is in his true form, and when he has to play the king, he's in a different form. However, I believe it is the opposite, and I believe that Xavian is being glamored to appear as the general. Powers don't work on Vari. Vari sees right through his glamour. Vari never gets anybody talking about, if you go through the book, she talks about what he looks like. Nobody else mentions or talks about any distinguishing characteristics about the king or Xavian. So Vari can see through the glamour and sees him for who he is right now. That is the reason why he wants to bring her with them on the ship, Auri, so she can continue to glamour him. But she sees him as who he truly is. I believe that...
Who's
'cause I've
she,
always
Vari
said,
or Auri? When you say she sees him, do you mean Auri or Vari?
Vari sees him physically for what he truly looks like,
Okay.
which is the form of the king. What most people would see and think, oh, that's the king. It is also the reason why, and we'll get to this in later chapters, when
Yep.
the Vatruk show up, they make a statement that we'll get to about how he's been deceiving us, all this stuff. They have been seeing him, everyone, Ashara, the sisters, Siseri, have been seeing him in this glamour. And when they were back in the house earlier on, and they were like, oh, the king thinks that he can deceive us, but we know better. It's because he is actually in glamour this whole book. But Vari has no clue because she just sees him as Xavian the king. That's another reason why when she calls him Xavian, he gets so excited that she's calling him by his real name, because nobody else outside of his closest friends, I believe that Auri, Riche, Kashek, Narai, and I also think Felius know who he actually is and that he's being glamored. And everybody else sees him as something else. And that's why nobody spoils it this whole book, because they actually don't see him the way that Vari sees him. So that is my unhinged theory, and I'm sticking with it. The end.
I need to
Let
think
me
about
say
this.
it a
Hold
different
on.
way so that I can
Yeah.
comprehend what you're saying. So let me say
Yeah.
what I just interpreted back to you.
Yep.
So what you're saying is that Vari, the glamour can't work on Vari. So
Correct.
she's going to see Xavian in his natural state, period.
Period.
Okay?
Period.
Rather than Xavian presenting himself as Xavian to the whole world, you're saying that Auri is presently glamoring him to
Correct.
look as something else.
What they see as the general, this
Yep.
figure of the general. Yep.
And so it is only when it is presenting himself as king that he is presented the way that Shavaria sees him.
Correct.
The only question I have for you here would be the Vatruk would have seen Xavian as he truly, truly is, because Auri is only 40 years old. So if he's presenting himself as the king,
He's not.
They
He's
would-
presenting himself as the general.
no, I'm saying generally speaking, not general, not general, normally speaking.
Normally, yeah.
Normally
when he's not
speaking.
glamored. Yep.
When he's presenting himself as the king, he would show himself as Xavian, the former Vatruk and king. So then how would make the chapter at Ishka's house make sense when Sai said the king thinks he is fooling us, because under this scenario, Sai would know Xavian is himself and is the king. So why would she think that he's fooling them?
She would not see him as Xavian the king because he is glamored. And remember, the king, Xavian's true form, has not been seen in 80 years. People have not seen him. So
but the Vatruk have. They've seen him because
before.
Auri was... Yeah.
So remember, the Vatruk haven't been here this whole time. The Vatruk are just coming here. Xavian has been glamored, so he presents as this general that everybody else sees.
Yeah.
They don't know that is him being glamored. So they don't know that he is the king. They figure it out.
It makes a lot of sense to me because in my first read, I really assumed that Auri was glamoring Shivaria into thinking something different. But since it never quite equated to me that since powers don't work on Shivaria, and Auri even says to her, if I could show you, I would. Right?
Yes.
Because she doesn't have the power to. Like, literally, she can't trick Shivaria.
Yep. Yeah.
My question is, and I'm asking the question not to poke holes, but really to almost like convince myself, is his name. Like, how does he get away with using his name? But then at the end of the day, if he is that Vatruk in our game of Count the Vatruk that was there at the child's birth and his name wasn't mentioned, is it because Xavian is not his name?
Yeah.
Who calls
so his
him
name
Xavian?
has to be
Everybody. Everybody does.
But who's everybody?
Auri, Rish, Torin.
They know. Well, they know. They're not being glamored.
Ishara.
She calls him General.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a question. But or does she just say General? Does she ever say his name?
The general.
No, she says Xavian too, and I think
in the dress shop, right? Hold on, I kind of want to look now. Does she ever say? And Adora? Now that I think about it, does Adora only say General? I don't think Adora ever says Xavian either.
When they're around other people, a lot of the times when they refer to him as the general, and they refer to the king as the king. And they don't.
Yeah, she does.
Usually. She
says, I believe the general is afraid that you and she might get along a little too well. Hold on. I really need to think about this for a minute.
Let me get there. I'm only delaying to get there in my brain.
I am too, and I'm not. It's not because I think that this is big. I just need to prove it to myself.
Okay, here's where I'm struggling. Nope. I startle when I hear the general say under his breath, "Nothing you could add or remove from your form could convince me to consider you Ishara." And then Auri literally says Zay
under her breath.
So she calls him Zay.
Under her breath.
Yeah, but I mean, they're in a dress shop. Like,
still, that could be a slip.
That
could
also
be a slip.
After the dress shop is when she was in the house with Siseri and Ashara, and they're like, we know that the king is fooling us. Maybe that's the thing that tipped them off that shit, that's Xavian. She called him Zay. We don't know how they figure out that he is the king. Or that he is who he is. Which
I agree, but that doesn't necessarily convince me that he's presenting as Xavian.
But
it doesn't convince me the other way, I guess is what I'm saying.
It does convince me that Auri is. It does convince me that Auri is glamoring him because again, that's what we all assumed was happening from the beginning, is that there was some sort of glamour going on. And again, I always thought it was the opposite, that they were glamoring what Shivaria saw, But what's
Yes.
really happening is that they're
No.
glamoring him.
No, I never thought she was glamoring Shivaria, period, because she mentions her gift doesn't work on Shivaria. And that's why I assumed she's not glamoring Xavian presently,
Right.
right?
That you're seeing him in his true form.
Yes, to anyone.
Right.
No, I'm taking a step further and saying to anyone, and that he is only glamored when he presents himself as the king.
Right.
The king's form is the glamour. And the reason
Yep.
I say that is because I still just go back to the fact that he was a former Vitruk well before Auri ever existed. So the Vitruk would have seen him as Xavian the person.
Right.
And the Vitruk keep referring to the king thinks he has deceived us. If they knew Xavian as the person who then became king, there's no deception for the Vitruk. It's only going to be present if Xavian had glamored himself when he presented himself as king, then they would think Xavian is the person, the general. They don't realize that Xavian is the king. And so
Well,
I'm still struggling where this, because otherwise I'm thinking the Vitruk aren't confused. They would know Xavian is the king because they've always seen him as the king. But then that makes Ishka's whole thing not make sense, because Sai was basically like, he thinks he's deceiving us. Well, then there would be no deception because they know he's the king and what he looks like.
No. So the deception is they see him in his glamour as the general. They don't realize that he is actually Xavian the king, that he is there. And then they find out somehow, whether it's because Auri says Zay under her breath at the dress shop or something else. And then they realize it. And because Jess has to be sneaky and they're not going to say King Xavian thinks he's deceiving us, they say, oh, the king thinks he's deceiving us. And that's when they realize that something else is going on and that this is not him. And this whole thing gets set into motion.
So you're saying it's not the Vitruk are not confused that Xavian is the king. They are confused that Xavian is the general.
The Vitruk did not know that he was the king. They didn't know that they were the same person. And then they find out. And then they come for them. That's what I'm saying. He is glamored. He looks like the general. Everyone else sees it except for Shivaria.
He looks like a general right now.
He looks like the general. He doesn't look like what Shivari sees him as. Yeah.
So they're saying that Xavian, where everybody thinks the king is maybe off doing something, the trick is that, no, he's still in Akerai as the general.
Yep. That's the trick. That's what they're like,
the
he
trick.
thinks that they're deceiving us, but he's right here the whole time. And
now
then they realize
I finally
who it is.
understand what
and
you're
I don't think that they knew that necessarily that it was Xavian, the former Vitruk, that is the king of Akerai, because to your point, why would they have not come for him earlier?
And let me ask you this. Why did they start glamoring him? Was it to keep him? It wasn't for Shivaria, right?
No.
Was it to keep him from the Vitruk?
Possibly.
But they don't know
That's
that.
a good point.
My point is like, why? But they don't know that. So my point is like, why did they start? Because the very first time that we see him, he's on Felius's grounds, right?
Yes.
So we're assuming at that point that he is glamored to appear as the general because everybody around him acts that way, right? So what was the catalyst of starting to glamour him then? Was it was it just happened to coincide with Shivaria getting there? Did they potentially know that an assassin was being sent earlier? Like, because it also goes back to Felius and what Felius's role in all of this was. Because if Felius did know, okay, let's pretend like Felius knew. Felius also knew that an assassin was coming. So did Felius start the catalyst of, hey, there's an assassin coming, but then why would he wouldn't have told them that? Because they don't know that Shivaria was the assassin.
They don't know. No. And remember, Felius plays all the sides.
Is playing all the sides. But that, I feel like they'd be kind of dumb to not put that together of like, hey, Felius just told us that an assassin is coming. A random girl that we need to glamour the king. A random girl shows up in the house, and yet we never suspect that it's her.
Yeah, no. That's why I don't think he
that
told them
doesn't make
anything.
sense. So then why did the glamour start?
I don't know.
I feel like it has to be around the Vitruk period, because otherwise this makes no sense. Because otherwise people wouldn't know Xavian the general, and he's very, very well known at this point. So this glamour had nothing to do with Bari.
Or is it Vikesh?
But this is where I struggle. 80 years ago, Auri wasn't born.
Yeah, but
that's where I'm struggling.
That doesn't mean someone else wasn't glamoring
doesn't mean
him.
there are other Gleers.
Arda's a Gleer. I suppose.
Arda is a Gleer.
Yeah, but Arda's not working for them.
That's true. But there are other.
No,
but my
that's what I
point being
struggle
is that
with
there's more.
is
Yeah.
No, I get that. I struggle with wrapping it in a perfect bow because of the simple fact that Auri is so young. She's only 40.
But he hasn't had to be the general this whole time. Remember, her father was the general. And her father was the last standing general. So he didn't need to pretend to be anybody else.
Yes, but I don't consider that the catalyst of him playing general under your scenario. I think the catalyst being to hide from the Vitruk period, which I would think that would have happened a lot sooner, right?
But
and
wait,
so I guess
that
what
actually
I'm saying
makes sense.
Is that
But listen, it makes sense when you think about Auri's dad was the general, okay? And then he left Auri and Rish in the hands of the king, and he went off. And now, so when you talk about, we've brought it up before, like, why is Xavian so protective of Auri? Is it because he, to everyone else, is playing the role of her father? He is glamored to appear as the general. What if that is actually the general, as in Auri's dad? He is glamored to appear as Auri's father.
He could be.
But then
he could be.
But then Medea, no, because the general has never returned. Remember, Medea said
the people
that the
know
general
that.
never
People
returned.
know that.
People
Okay.
know,
People know
that they
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The thing I just struggle with is simply what the Vitruk realized, because they would have seen Xavian in his true form, right?
But they haven't been here.
And then secondly, I agree. Yeah, that's fair. I agree.
You know, so they might not have known that he's been the king.
If they show up, because the Vitruk would be ridiculously powerful to the point that honestly, I don't think any glamour Auri would do would work on the Vitruk period. So if they showed up and got eyes on him, they would know.
We don't know that.
Who that person.
Yeah.
I'm just like Sai just said, I'm the most powerful person in Akerai. Your strength is your bond to Shivay. I'm just going, and Auri has said no glamour I have would work on somebody like Xavian. If Sai is saying she truly is as powerful as she is compared to even Xavian, I struggle to think Auri's glamour working on any Vitruk, but then also just simply Auri's age. She's just not old enough. So just the timing and her own ability and power to consistently glamour him to all of these people all the time. So that's the only place where I'm kind of just struggling still.
Yep.
That quote also could have come from Sai out of total hubris. Like, just because she says I'm the most powerful doesn't mean that that's true.
She actually
Plus,
is.
But we know
the
the Vitruk
day,
are the most powerful from Jess, like from
Right,
our
but-
world
Yeah, but
building,
Xavian's
the
a Vitruk.
are the most
But Xavian was a
ancient.
Vitruk.
No.
Xavian
I'm
was
saying
a
compared to
Vitruk.
Auri, not compared to Xavian, compared to Auri. They would be more more powerful compared to Auri, and that's where I'm saying I'm struggling.
Yep.
But
No,
what about
all
Auri
fair.
and Rish together?
Right. That's true.
Maybe, but again, they're both only 40 years old.
Because here's the thing.
And I
At the
think
end of the
ancient
day,
Vitruk is way more powerful.
but listen, at the end of the day, it's book one. We can't expect to have everything answered and everything figured out because it's book one and there's so much information that we just don't know. So it's hard to, like, I agree with you, Kelly, that I could see this being the case and that it makes a lot of sense. I think just because I've only had it for 5 minutes, I will probably not sleep tonight and probably solely think about this.
There are holes. Like, there are questions. Like, I'm not doubting
but the
that.
holes
It is
aren't
still
holes.
something, a
the
hill
holes
that
are,
I'm going to die on.
Yeah. The holes aren't holes, though. The holes are we don't know because we don't have all the information because this is book 1 out of 5. Right? Like, I don't expect
not a hole,
us to have
just
this
an unknown.
fully out. Yes.
Yep.
But I think where everything absolutely holds water is, regardless of whether it's Xavier being glamored to appear as the general or Xavier being glamored when he appears as the king, none of it would work against Shivaria, period.
Yep.
So 100% he's seeing Shivaria as he truly is. And there is glamour and amplification of glamour afoot somewhere in all of this.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yes, 100%. And the reason why I'm having this theory is because we have talked so much about how the frig did everyone keep this secret the whole time. Like that like if we believe that he is truly the king and that is the hill that all 3 of us are going to die on, then how does it make sense? And this is how it makes sense, because he is glamored right now. And the only people who know are his inner circle, and Vari doesn't know what the king looks like versus what the general looks like. So it doesn't matter that she can see through the glamour. Yeah. She doesn't know the difference.
You know what's going to be so annoying?
Yeah.
Looking up the word Xavier throughout the entire book and the context.
Try to figure out who called him that.
When they call him that?
Yeah. But
I have a fix for that. We can just text Jess and be like, Jess, who calls him Xavier?
The other thing,
call him Xavier?
But the other thing is, remember, Xavier might not be his name, because even if...
True. It's true.
Even if, and I think that fills the hole. Like, because either way, if he is one of the Vitruk that was there, he was unnamed. So there's a potential that them saying Xavier doesn't matter, because that's not his real name, because that's the reason he was unnamed in that chapter, because they would have called him something else.
Right. It's true. We don't know. But I'm so glad I just took you all down a rabbit hole, because that was exactly what I wanted to do. I was like, let's do this, because you guys are going to be like, wait, what the heck are you saying?
You did indeed.
You know that emoji where the eyeballs are just swirling in chaos? Just overlay that on my face right now, because that's the accurate representation.
And this is why my son got a 45-minute bath tonight, because I was sitting there with my book, sitting on the step stool while he was in the tub with my book, sitting there, and I'm like, oh, you want another 1-minute timer, buddy? I probably gave this kid like 15 1-minute timers. Like, oh, you can have another minute. You can have another minute. Yeah. And I was just spiraling. Thank you for going down that rabbit hole with me. I knew it was going to be unhinged. I know. Listen, do we still have a lot of unknowns and questions? Yes. Am I picking this as my hill to die on? I think so. Because you know why? I need a hill to die on. Everyone has their hill to die on. Yep. And I'm just going to pick this one, and I'm going to say this is my hill. So there's my hill. I guess we should keep going. Welcome to the hill.
Welcome to the hill. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's guys, we still have hours of episode left.
Hours.
Yeah.
Hours. So
we're talking about trying to go to Latari to figure out what Shivaria is. This is a conversation with Narai, Rish, Xavier, maybe that's his name. And Xavier says, okay, let's go. Bring Auri, bring Rish. Narai wants to come too. Oh, goody gumdrops. But Xavier mentions that he wants to bring Torin as well, and that we will leave tomorrow on the earliest tide, which is funny because how can you leave tomorrow on the earliest tide after being hung over from a masquerade ball? Just saying. But anyway, that's the plan. Rish and Auri leave the room, and they spot Vari listening in. And we have a quote, "I don't try to pretend that I haven't overheard them. The pause the male gives me when he meets my eyes only speaks of the relief he feels in the knowledge. With a shallow nod, he leaves to see to the general's orders. Auri follows shortly after, a relieved smile adorning her face as well when she rushes out to see to her tasks. And then Auri continues to overhear. Just Narai and Xavier continue the conversation, and Narai suggests, well, if you're going to go take anyone, we'll just take the Gleer and leave everyone else. And Xavian tells her, no, he is. And I also want to note the demand in her tone when she says this. Like, she's being all high and mighty almost, is my impression of how her tone is coming off right here. And she tries to argue her case. A smaller party will be far easier to conceal. But the general says, if that were the case, I would have Torin beside me as well, a fleet of ships sailing south and a legion aboard them. And it's almost as if he's like, back off, know your place. I'll do what I want to do.
And guess who would make those kind of demands?
A king.
A king.
But the only thing I kind of want to note here, and it's really left field, but it just bothers me, is this mention of Torin here, right? And how Xavian wanted to bring Torin, and then things were manipulated in such a way to where I guess Torin's not going with them. And the fact that it was Torin at the masquerade that separates Vari from everybody else because he thinks she's a legitimate threat to his king. And it's almost as if, did Nurai interjecting here influence things such that Torin wasn't brought into the fold? So that, because if Torin had known what was going on, was like that there are these suspicions that Vari is to be trusted, we think she is something else, we're going to Latari to figure out what she is, then would all of those events happened? And so it just makes me suspect the manipulations occurring by Nurai based on just how everything ultimately unraveled, particularly surrounding Torin.
I did not even think about that. That is such a good point. It's like it's a classic miscommunication trope of like, if he only would have known. I love that.
Yeah, I also want to go back to the moment with Auri and Rish leaving the room because they're both so relieved. Like, and it kind of just shows that they really are on Vari's side. And that they want her to know there's something holding them back. The mention of both of them being relieved is just so big in this moment. I think it's so telling of how they feel.
It helps you trust them more as the reader. To me, I would be shocked if they betray her purposefully because I do think that they're genuinely concerned. And I agree.
And it also particularly makes me realize they would never betray Xavian. Because although they're so relieved right here, they're relieved because it was a way around something that they never would have broken his confidence, period. And it shows like their loyalty too. It's like loyalty to both sides almost, you know?
Yeah.
So Vari knows they have to go to Latari. And they realize that what they were talking about this entire time is unbinding her. And she thinks about telling him who she is, right? But she wants one night more with Xavian,
I don't blame her.
Because, I mean, they're talking about unbinding her, but she also thinks it's really just unbinding her bargain she's made with the Fae, you know? It's what she's at least telling herself. Maybe she's not subconsciously ready to realize what it truly means, but that's what she's at least rationalizing on the page. And she says, quote, I remind myself that he promised to help me undo the bargains I hold with the Fae, but I don't ask him what Nurai meant when she said it, that there's not a Fae alive that still has the power to unbind her. Afraid of what his answer might be today. Today is for us, tonight for the revealing of myself to the king at the masquerade that's later that night, and tomorrow a new beginning, no matter which threads of my life the fates choose to pull upon. Heavy foreshadowing.
Oh, yes.
Fates and threads.
Fates, threads.
Fates and threads.
Everything.
Fates and threads.
Xavian gifts Shivaria with a beautiful Fane stone ring. The quote is, "I have wanted to give you this since the night you fell in the river. There was a time, as you slept, that I was sure you would never rise, to have found you only to lose you." So we previously thought that that moment with almost her dying in the river to the Naiad was the moment that the mating bond really snapped in place for Xavian. And I think this kind of proves that, like, he says it right here. He's wanted to give it to her since that moment.
100%.
Because let's Harry met Sally it real quick.
Finally.
The moment you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with someone, you want the rest of your life to start right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he
Amen.
realized
Thank
it
you.
right there.
Thank you, Harry. Thank
Amen.
you, Harry. Okay.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you, Billy Crystal.
Yes.
And quote,
Mike
holding back the
Wazowski.
Mike Wazowski. And quote, holding back the lid, he reveals a Fane stone ring, simple and lovely, nestled in a thick clutch of black velvet. Just as my blades do, the stone has an odd way of pulling at the light, as if it might gather up every flame, snuffing us into darkness. The kite-shaped stone is set in a thin band of delicate gold, and though the jewel wasn't crafted to be a weapon, the pointed shape of its tip begs to be used in such a way. Interesting.
He's arming her
Seriously.
with blades and
Yeah.
jewelry.
And it's
Blades
like
and
a
jewelry, but-
promise ring, but it's also a weapon.
Yeah, well, I think it's like a sneaky weapon. Like he is starting, if he is a Vitruk and he knows that Voss is after her, and he knows that Fane Stone is what can kill them, he's almost giving her like a sneaky weapon. Like it'd be obvious to take her daggers, but a Vitruk coming after her wouldn't necessarily think to take her ring. So it's almost like if she was in a situation, he's giving her a way to still be able to defend herself. It doesn't work, but
I do love that, though. I do love that.
But you
Yeah,
also have
it's
to
kinda
then
cool.
wonder, like, to what extent you've got to, like, punch somebody with the ring to where Fanestone, like, takes over and it, like, kills them. Because you're like, do you get a scratch with a Fanestone blade
Right.
and die?
And that's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
know.
like,
But
like,
yeah,
what do you need?
die or maim in some way, or be able to take it off.
Maim,
and
yeah.
you know, yeah. It also
it in
is
your
interesting
eye.
because he's I think she said it before when he gave her the daggers about like he was putting that weapon in her hand. So same thing here. Like the Fanestone ring is also lethal to him, but yet he trusts her enough in this moment to give it to her. I'm going to read you this quote, but I want to point out that this is their last moment together in the book. Okay?
It's so sad.
Quote, I know. The general plants a kiss on top of my head, his fingers twisting the ring on my hand affectionately before he leaves. A pang of sorrow resounds in my chest when he walks out, mating bond. I should have been more diligent in capturing the last moments I was assured with him. I should have left him with words he could remember as he had done for me so many times. The fates promised no tomorrows, and I'd been careless with precious moments that could easily be our last. And it is their last moment
Sure is.
for now. And again, mention of the fates. The fates are going to come into play, you guys. If they're not already.
It's like their
coming.
bubble they've been in this entire month is like, this will it be bursting. Like these moments they've shared, these quiet moments, whatever the future holds, we're not going to get these quiet moments anymore. Like that chapter has really closed itself and we're going to move on from here.
It's going to be explosive.
Well, and think about it in Shivaria's context. Like she's planning on meeting the king at the masquerade and telling the king who she is. And so she really truly believes that she's never going to see Xavian again. Like, I should have kept these moments to my chest. I should have told him how I felt, because I'm about to kill his king and either be killed myself or have to run away and leave all these people behind.
Well, she said she's not going to kill his king anymore, but she's going to tell him.
Come
No, that's
clean.
true.
Yeah, she's going to come
clean.
clean.
But still, so she
But
gets
either way,
imprisoned
the
or
king-
killed.
Yeah.
Exactly. The king could
Yep.
arrest her, as you
Right.
said. She could be executed.
Yep.
Xavier himself could be charged with carrying out her sentence.
Right.
All of these things that separate them from each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I also
And
think it's
then-
really big foreshadowing for next books of this was really it for them as they know it, because shit's about to hit the fan.
As they know
and
it, not it for them.
as they know it. No, I don't
As
think
they
it's
know
it
it.
for them. I think it's it for them as
Okay.
they know it, because remember,
quiet chapter
Jess
is-
said, and Jess said that Vikesh is her favorite character, and it worries me, people, about what that means for Zay and Shivaria, and I hate to say that out loud because people are going to come for me, but I'm
It's
worried.
valid.
I'm
It
worried.
worries me
Yeah.
too, because he's a good person. He's not
Yes.
like this like third
Yeah.
wheel guy that we all hate or
No,
anything.
he's great.
He is
He's
a
a strong
genuinely
MMC.
fantastic person. I
Yes.
don't have anything against him, and the idea that he could not end up with her when he is truly mated to her and to suffer the consequences of what that would mean, which would have to be a broken mating bond, and that he
awful.
would have to go through that when he's such a good person, it makes me mourn for him as a character.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, the one thing that you do have against him is that he's not telling her anything that you want
But
her
if
to
he,
tell him.
but if it's ultimately
Don't bring that up
justified
again.
he
Don't
can't,
bring that up again.
No, because if it's fine, because if it's justified that he
Good
can't,
job.
or simply he's like, I am your mate, I know you weren't ready, that's fine.
It's good enough for you.
I get it.
I'm just
That
joking.
doesn't mean you deserve ultimate sorrow for the rest of your existence.
He's a strong MMC, so we don't. I'm just scared for the future. I'm
I
scared.
agree.
But I also really
fine.
like Vikesh.
Me too.
I know. I want everybody to live happily ever after.
You hear that, Jess? Everyone.
Okay.
Make it happen.
Impossible.
For everyone to have a happily ever after. Impossible.
Xavier goes off with Torin to help with masquerade plans, and Shivaria spends the day with Rhea. And I love, let's get into Lindsay's moment here, because Rhea says, Fainstone is the rarest stone on Tear. And so clearly this was taken straight from the King's Hoard. Say it with me,
And she
people,
even says, I think,
because
that.
Xavier is the king. No, literally, that's what she says. So
Yeah.
come on. At this point, if I haven't convinced you, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what to say. Shivaria has a moment. She thinks to herself, and then she asks Rhea, what was Keswick looking for in the barracks? And Rhea has this look on her face for a second, and then she takes off. And Shivaria's quote, there is a moment that her eyes drift off in thought, and when her eyes snap back to mine, it is a moment I wish to never relive. The full weight of her own dread fills me as she pushes up from her seat, rushing into the hall without a word. Whatever conclusion she's drawn is concerning enough that she has abandoned her post to report it. So
Uh-oh.
that's a big uh-oh, right? No
Oh,
one
yeah.
has made this connection yet. So much has happened, and so many, people have been so wrapped up in Voss's coming that no one has, stopped to think why that is.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I'm assuming the only thing that we know of in the barracks is Sissery, right? So is that the assumption? We know that Ishara and Ishka and Sissery, their whole family, are working with Sai and the Vitruk. So it makes sense that the Vitruk would be going after Sissery or try to free her. I don't know that Sissery is that important, but maybe there's something to, hey, we've been helping you out. You need to free my daughter, my sister kind of thing. I don't know. What else was in the barracks?
even if it's not that, if Rhea believes that's what it is, and that provides proof that the Vatruk are working with Ishka and her family, that's still very, very important. Even if that's not what Keswick was after, that's still an important thing that they all do need to absolutely realize.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, well, who did Rhea tell this to? Because she just comes back in later. Nobody has reacted to any of this. Nothing happens. Like, I feel like if you came in and you were like, hey, by the way, I believe that this proves that Ishka's family has been working with the Vatruk, then Ishara wouldn't have been allowed to enter the masquerade like she was. So I'm like, who did Rhea tell this to? Like, what happened or was lost in translation? Or to your point, Lindsay, is it something else that we totally just have not realized that was at the barracks?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have a good theory. I have no clue. I thought it was Sissery,
It's
but now I'm
gotta
like,
be
wait, is there something
Sissery.
else? Right?
Yeah.
Right?
But like,
yeah.
It's gotta
Tell
be.
somebody.
Yeah.
Right. What happened? What else are we missing? But I'm sure we'll find out.
Unless there's, yeah. I don't know.
After Rhea leaves Vari, she goes back into her bedroom and she notices something that has been left for her on her bed. Quote, the fresh bundle of dark, glossy flowers sitting on the heavy stone slab under the mirror. They are bundled with a pliant vine, and I recognize them at once by their smell. A small breeze drifts in from the window, and I tilt my head to listen. With all that happened, I nearly forgot about the flowers Tig offered to grow, the ones that will help keep my demon at bay. While it is unlike the sisters to come, only to vanish before I've seen them, I don't think much of it. Okay, so these are the flowers that Vikesh originally gave to Vari to keep her demon at bay. This is the shadow bane that Rhea is imminently going to give a name to these flowers for Shivaria. The quote that gets me hung up is, I don't think too much of it. And so that just makes me think too much of it, because we know Vikesh comes back. Vikesh was the one to originally give her these flowers. And I have to wonder if maybe it wasn't Tig leaving these for her. What if this was Vikesh sneaking in and leaving these for her? Because they mention this, breeze drifting into the window. And imminently, we will also be talking about another theory.
I was just going to say, we haven't even dropped that theory yet. Oh my God.
About Vikesh and certain things that are coming. And so she takes these flowers, she puts them in her hair, and these are the flowers that she knows as Shadowbane. She recognized them. She's been taking that this whole time. And Rhea is about to tell her, oh, that's Shadowbane. So I just wonder if Vikesh left these instead of the sprites. But Vari's dress also comes along with a note from Zabian that says he will meet her there, because he's got to go play the part of the king now.
Right.
And there's also a necklace. And it's interesting. The necklace uses the word starlight, right? Not about bringing in the darkness or anything like the Fanestone has been described, but this one is used with the word starlight, which we talked about earlier, right? In connection with Fanestone, and thinking that maybe this has some kind of interplay with Shivay itself. So we're going to hear starlight later on. So just put a pin in this necklace was described with the word starlight as well. So Vari dresses up. She's got her Fanestone blades on her thighs. She's got a Fanestone ring on her finger. She's got Shadowbane in her hair.
She's
lethal. Ready to go to a ball.
That's an assassin right there.
Yes. Finally.
Torin was right.
This is the epitome of a Fae Dien. She is dressed up in a gorgeous gown. Her hair is stunning. and she's got flowers in her hair, but it is a lethal flower. She's got daggers. She's got all this Fainstone. It is true Fae Diane. I think for the first time we like, that is what that is supposed to be. And it's so funny. It's the last couple scenes of the book.
Liana would be finally so proud of her, wouldn't she?
So Catherine,
TBD,
as someone who dressed in a blue lace gown, cosplaying as Shivaria, please read us the quote to describe said gown.
I love it. I love it.
Well, Adora maintained the high slits that are so popular in the Akrai court, revealing a shameful amount of flesh. I will never tell the seamstress and can only hope she will not be in attendance tonight to see that I have torn one of the many layers from the skirt and wrapped my legs to conceal them. She's always got to have pants. The binding is perhaps a better representation of the crone in all her tattered rags and serves a purpose I had not initially intended. So remember, she's meant to be dressing up as Bagia. How ironic. The same long strips of fabric that wind about my legs served to conceal the Fainstone blade strapped to my thighs. The seamstress constructed the bodice well, and the deep blue lace of the gown sets fire to my eyes though the neck plunges lower than I would have designed for myself. The flesh below the rise of my breasts and down the length of my arms is obscured by little more than a sheer panel of lace. And I absolutely love this dress, and I love the illustrations that JR Cathers has shared with us for this dress. And I was so happy and so proud to dress as Shivaria, and as Lindsay did my hair and put my little Shadowbane flowers in my hair that I got from Tig, because Kelly cosplayed as Tig, and it was so fun bringing these characters to life.
Yeah. I loved it.
You were beautiful, Shivaria, too.
Yes, you were.
Thank you.
One of my favorite little funny moments at the end, because there's not a lot of funny in the last 100 pages of the book. Rhea has a little conversation with her about, why did you decide to dress as Bhagya? And Vari is like, the general told me it was a custom to dress as the last Fae that you had dealings with. And Rhea's like, I don't know why he would tell you that. That's not true. And we have gone back and forth about that, and I think I was like going down a rabbit hole, and Lindsay and Catherine, like in episode 2, were like, wait, he made that up. Remember, he made that up. He was just fucking with her, basically.
He was fucking with her, yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely was. He didn't trust her.
He wanted her to dress up as an old nasty
like an
bitch.
idiot. Yeah. Exactly. So,
which, shame on you, Xavian, for thinking Adora wouldn't make anything absolutely glamorous.
Right, exactly. I can't wait for book 2 to come out and for us to realize that there was a whole reason that he did this and it wasn't just funny, but it's funny.
Because he doesn't strike you as a very funny, I'm going to pull a prank on somebody character.
Right. Rhea also notices that she has Shadowbane weaved into her hair, which we assume, because Vari assumes it was a gift from the sprites, but who knows? It could have been Vikesh, to Kat's point. And Rhea is absolutely shook by this. And she's like, where did you get this? She makes her promise not to put it in anybody's meal. And she's very, very concerned about it. She demands that Vari does not put it in anybody's meal. Catherine pointed this out to us earlier. It is very curious that Vari can somehow ingest the Shadowbane. Remember, she was taking it on the ship to help keep her demons at bay because Vikesh gave it to her. But if anybody else has it in their food, it is an issue. So, I don't know. Put a pin in that. Do we think it's because of her power? Do we think it's because, why can she take it and nobody else can? I don't know.
I wonder if it has anything to do with, my two thoughts are, it could have something to do with him knowing that maybe her power is stronger and she's not in her true form. Or because
he knows
Fane
she's
gifts
Voltura.
don't, Fane gifts don't work on her. Or Maybe it's about her connection with Shivay and with Tear. If she is connected, if she was a fucking seed child, then I don't feel like poisons from the earth would affect her.
True.
Maybe the flowers of Shadowbane grow from the tree that she became after she was bloomed from her seedling.
So what you're saying is
Shadowbane.
they're her sisters. They're her siblings. The Shadowbane has her
some
siblings.
weird shit.
Shadowbane.
Weird shit.
That is some weird. Anyway, they go into the ballroom and it's real pretty.
Yeah. Guys, we're sorry. We've lost the plot at this point.
We have lost the plot. All right.
Literally.
So she goes into the ballroom. It is absolutely stunning. Just like one of Lindsay's events from her past life. I love that you put that in there.
You like how I put that in there? I
Former
made Kelly
event
read
planner
that out
in there.
loud. I scripted that. Yep.
She did.
Okay. Continue.
And she runs into Ashara.
Bitch.
This whole thing annoyed me, bitch. Let it go.
Let it go. Ashara introduces herself to Shivaria, who reminds her that they've already met. Ashara responds and says, I told you to forget that. Bitch, it doesn't work on me. She tried to use her power of persuasion, but too bad. Shivaria is who she is. So Ashara schools her features in a practiced way. When she looks at Ari, she's clearly shooketh about the fact that it didn't work on her, and says, I suppose you thought it would be amusing to deceive all of Acherai into believing the general chose the company of a human over mine. I have done nothing, Ashara, Ari insists.
I love that whole exchange.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
It's so great.
It also confirms that Auri is not glamoring Shivaria.
No.
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 But
she's
it's
not.
so funny that Ashara assumed that Auri had to have been glamoring her to appear human, because Ashara's like, there's no way this piddly little human in any way could have,
Right.
been so strong my gift doesn't work on her. Oh, clearly, Auri, you were trying to make fun of me by pulling this prank. And Auri's like, nah, bitch, that's on you.
Your power sucks, ho.
Yep. Well, then after this, Narai steps in. We get a quote. But it is Narai that manages to settle the female by grasping her arm and warning, let it go, dear. The general made his choice. Now I suggest you leave before the king finds you here. There is a moment that passes between them, an understanding that cools the fire of her rage. Ashara nods once she understands, departing without another word. This is a very important. Yes.
Suspect.
This is important.
So interesting.
Weird interaction. Like, what on earth were they communicating with their eyes that Ashara immediately just backs down? Like,
I think that Narai was using her power.
Something.
I think she's using her power. And
what do we think?
I don't know what it is.
Let's go all the way back to the concept of Kashek is a type of healer, right? Yep. And he was brought in to deal with the Shivaria situation. They wrote to Narai because they wanted her gift, whatever it is, to replace or take over for Kasheka's doing, which presumably means she also must be a type of healer. So within that context, what the hell type of gift could Narai possibly have here? I want an answer.
It feels like it has to be one of two things. Either it is her power, which, to your point, Catherine, that's what we're hinted at has to do with her power. This sounds a lot like the power of persuasion to me, like Ishara's
persuasion
power.
Back.
Right. Like she... grasp her arm.
Can she mirror powers?
Mirror.
What if her power is to steal and mirror someone's power? Like if you're with them, you can mirror their power.
Maybe.
which is why
That
they
could be
want
something
that
I
would
could
make
buy.
sense. Yeah.
Because it's a way to
Or
amplify that specific.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. If she was mirroring Kashek's and then having that amplified because it's not her own power, but if she needed to mirror his and then Rish was helping by amplifying it, I could buy that. Yeah.
Possible.
Or it's not, and our suspicions about Narai are true because it makes it sound like Narai has some sort of authority over Ishara, and we know that Ishara is working for the other side.
Yes. So I think it could be that. It could be both. But I definitely think that when she uses the words, the general has made his choice, leave before the king finds you here. I think it is smart word choice. And I think that she is pointing to more than just, oh, let it go. He chose her. I think it's deeper because we've theorized that he was a Vitruk. We've theorized that they have split. If Narai is his sister, then she would know all these things. And I think that she is telling her in this moment, we've lost him. Let it go. He is choosing a different path. The king is about to be here. Like we have stuff to take care of. That's what I think.
And also, Kelly, let's go back to your big, bomb dropped from earlier about the general being the glamored version of the king. Okay, when I first read this, the general's made his choice, now suggest you leave before the king finds you there. I had made a note of look how funny the general and king are interchangeable in those sentences, right? It's showing us that the general is the king. But let's think about it, Kelly, in the context of you. The general made his choice. Now, I suggest you leave before the king finds you here because the general's glamour is gone and the king is about to return in his true form.
Yes, exactly. And that's going to have a whole different set of consequences because now he can act as the king and everyone else will see that he is here. 100%.
Or
interesting.
If we want to piggybacking on the Narai is duplicitous in this whole thing, she might just be saying, Ishara, you know what the plan is. You know Xavian, the general, and Xavian, the king, are the same person.
Yes.
Stick to the plan.
Right.
She
Keep
might
it
just
moving.
be saying, know what is about to happen. Stick to the plan. Dismiss this. Because
move on. We don't have time.
Because
the king's about to be here. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
And if Narai is Xavian's sister, like we're thinking, think about the ultimate betrayal that is, because that would mean that the sister of the king is working against him and with the Vitruk.
100%.
And remember, Shivaria said there's something about her story that was suspect, and Narai got all persnickety when Shivaria said, well, what did you do to make the Fae not trust you? And she's like, what do you think it is that I did? Well, Narai siding with the Vitruk, even though she said she didn't.
Right.
That would be something.
Right. That's so true. It's so true. No matter what, this interaction to me proves that Narai is sus. We cannot trust her. And she is not, I believe, fully on Xavian and Auri and Rish's side. I think she is being duplicitous. So.
I noticed you guys liked my persnickety word.
Persnickety is a great word.
So after that interaction, Rhea plucks one of the flowers from Shivaria's hair and shows it to Torin. And Torin levels Shivaria with a glare. He is definitely daggers. He is suspecting something. He is loyal to his king and can see an assassin standing in front of him when he sees it, right? He knows it.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to episode 6, part 1. Continue the fun by clicking and listening to episode 2.